Drip irrigation fails when you confuse pressure with flow. Turn a garden hose full on and hold it loose. A fat, lazy stream flops onto the path. Now press your thumb over the end. The water leaps clean across the garden. It looks stronger. It looks like more water. It is not. You just changed two different things at once. I am Mikkel. Let us sort pressure, flow, and what your garden irrigation system actually needs. Sort the three. Here is the question. Why do we need three words for water when one always felt like plenty? Because every problem in this series is one of these three, quietly out of balance. Drippers that blow off the pipe. A far bed that barely drips while the near one races. A water butt that will not run a system at all. Nothing coming out when everything looks fine. Four different faults. Three hidden numbers behind all of them. I drive a bus for a living. In front of me sit three dials I read without thinking. Speed, fuel, engine heat. I am no engineer, but I know at a glance what each one is telling me. Your garden tap has three dials too. Nobody ever taught you to read them. The first is flow. That is how much water, how many liters arrive in a minute. The second is pressure. That is the push, how hard the water is being shoved along. And the third is head. That is height, how far the water has to climb to reach your plants. Flow, pressure, head. How much, how hard, how high. Get those three straight and the whole system stops being a mystery. Start with flow because it is the one you can actually feel. Flow is simply how much water turns up in a given time. We measure it in liters per hour or liters per minute. It is the water your plants genuinely drink. A slow tap dribbling into a watering can is low flow. You stand there like a lemon, waiting. Open it wide and the can fills in seconds. That is high flow. Same tap, same water, different amount per minute. Last week we watched this at its most extreme. A garden hose can pour out around 1,000 liters in an hour. A single dripper sips as little as 2. That enormous gap between them is nothing but flow. And here is the useful part. Flow is the one dial you can read yourself, with no tools at all. Put a jug under the tap, or under one dripper, and time it for 1 minute. Whatever lands in that jug is your flow. No guessing, no maths from a box. If you want to know what your system is really doing, that jug is the honest answer. We will lean on it again and again. Now the second dial, and the one that fools everyone. Pressure is not how much water. Pressure is the push. It is how hard the water is being pressed along the pipe, nothing more. We measure it in bar. Your main supply at home usually sits somewhere between 1 and 6 bar. That push is what your thumb was playing with on the hose. Here is the oldest mistake in the book. People believe more pressure means more water. It does not. Picture a pressure washer. The pressure is savage, enough to strip paint off a fence, but the water coming out is a thin, mean little jet. Very high pressure, very low flow. Now picture that hose lying flat on the lawn, glugging away with almost no push behind it at all. Very low pressure, but a great fat volume of water. High flow. So pressure and flow are two separate dials. One is the shove. The other is the amount. Why does the push matter at all then? Because too little and the far end of your system goes hungry, barely wetting a thing. Too much and it fights your fittings, and eventually something gives way. That blowout has a whole episode of its own coming next. For today, just hold the idea apart from flow. Which brings us to the third dial, the quiet one. Head. Head is simply height, how far the water must climb, up or down, on its way to your plants. And here is the lovely secret that ties this whole episode together. Pressure and head are the same thing wearing two coats. The push in your mains does not come from magic. Somewhere up the line sits a reservoir or a tower, and all that water, stacked up high, presses down. Height becomes push. That gives us the one number to carry out of today. Every 10 meters of height is worth about 1 bar of pressure. 10 meters up, and you have spent a bar. 10 meters down, and you have gained 1 for free. Think of a block of flats. 1 bar will shove water up roughly 3 floors. So 3 bar of mains can just about reach a 9th floor window, and no further. Above that, the flow dies to a dribble. That is exactly why tall buildings keep a pump humming away in the basement. They have run out of head, so they buy it back with electricity. Your garden plays the same game on a smaller scale. Every slope, every raised bed, every upstairs window box is asking the water to climb and charging pressure for the privilege. So what does head look like in a real back garden? Mine is a good example. My own tap sits at the bottom of a sloping garden, and the beds march uphill from there. Every meter the water climbs, it hands back a little push. By the top bed, the flow is noticeably meeker than at the tap. Same water, taxed by the hill. And this is where the humble water butt breaks so many hearts. Raise a butt 1 meter off the ground, which is already a fair effort, and you have made barely a 1/10 of a bar. Your mains has 30 or 40 times that. So gravity alone will not run a proper drip line from a butt. It simply lacks the head. Now how you actually get a butt to push is a whole episode later in this series, so park that for now. But I love this from an allotment forum. A grower was fed up with their butt trickling into a can. They swapped the little tap for a wide, full-bore valve, and suddenly it filled a can in seconds. They had not added 1 scrap of pressure, they had simply opened a wider door and let the flow through. Without knowing it, they had pulled pressure and flow apart with their own hands. By now you might see the real point. These are not 3 facts to memorize. They are 3 dials on 1 living system, and they trade against each other all the time. Squeeze the same flow through a narrow pipe. The pressure at the far end quietly drops away to almost nothing. Send the water uphill. You spend pressure buying height. Fit a wider valve. Like our allotment friend. Flow leaps up while pressure barely stirs. Pull on 1 dial and the others answer. That is the whole game. And it means every fault in this series has an address. Drippers blowing off, pressure too high for the kit. A far bed barely wetting while the near one floods. Pressure lost down a long run, and that has its own episode soon. A butt that will not drive a system, head too low, full stop, nothing at all coming out, flow choked off by a blockage somewhere. 4 complaints, 3 dials. Once you can name which one has slipped, you stop replacing random parts in a panic, you stop guessing, you read the system like I read that dashboard, and you fix the dial that actually moved. So here is your job this weekend. Go and read your own 3 dials, right at the tap. Flow first, because it is the easy one. Hold a jug or a bucket under the tap, open it full, and time exactly 1 minute, however many liters you catch. That is your flow. Write it down. Pressure next. If you own a cheap pressure gauge and they cost very little, screw it onto the tap and read the bar straight off. No gauge? Ring your water company or check their website. They will tell you the typical pressure for your street, and that is close enough to design with. Head last, and this one needs no kit at all. Just walk your garden with your eyes open. Where does the tap sit? Where are the beds you feed from it? Every meter they rise above the tap is head the water must pay for. 3 numbers. How much, how hard, how high. Put them on a scrap of paper and pin it inside the shed. From now on, you design around your own garden's real figures, not a photograph on the side of a box. That is how the guessing ends. One quick word on kit, because it all lives inside these same 3 numbers. Every timer, mine included, can only work with the pressure, flow, and head your tap already gives it. The one I run on my own tap, the Johgee 4-zone, sits happily on ordinary mains pressure and screws straight onto a standard tap thread, no tools. But be honest with yourself first. If all you have outdoors is a water butt, no timer of mine and no mains timer at all will save you. That is a low head problem and its own episode later. And if you have 3 pots by the door, a 9-pound mechanical timer will do you proudly. Match the kit to your 3 numbers, not to the picture on the box.